Let me just start off by saying that this whole video is a huge nothing burger. I talked about ideas that I had and things that I thought I might do, and then I didn't do anything because I decided not to. But if you're interested in hearing 30 minutes of me talking about what I might do and then end up not doing, stick around. When I bought the Lightning, I really just wanted a bigger truck. I had the Rivian, and I felt like the Lightning was going to be a better deal overall. Bigger trunk space, bigger everything, bigger. And I liked it. And it could also do the 9.6 kilowatt onboard power that powers your house or whatever else you want it to power. But when I bought the truck, oh, new tonneau cover, by the way. When I bought the truck, I didn't really need to charge it. You know, I bought it 4 hours away, but it had plenty of range and I could have made it. And what I ended up doing is I stopped on the way anyway, just because I didn't need to, but I charged it and went into the store for a little while and then took it on home. And that's the only long distance trip I've ever taken this truck. And I've got a trip coming up in October where I'm going to Missouri and I'm going to drive. And it was between this or the Model 3. And I couldn't decide which one I wanted to drive. Obviously the Model 3 is better, range and cost and all of that, but my buddy would really like to see my Lightning. It's an electric truck. It's a full-size truck, and there's really no reason it can't do it. But I thought, if I'm going to do that, I need to take it on a trip to really test how does it work having the fast charge, because I charge it at home all the time, no problem. But how does it do on the road? So today we're going to talk about that. So I base my entire experience off of, videos that I've watched, or my expectations, not my experience. I've watched Out of Spec. They've done plenty of Lightning videos, and I do remember that there were several instances where the Lightning just ran out. It may say it's got 5%, or it may say it's got 3%, and it just dies. So, didn't really want to take that chance, but I did invest in the Tesla Supercharger membership. Just, pay the $12. I actually need to cancel that now that I think about it. Pay the $12.99 for the month, and then you can charge at Tesla rates, what Teslas pay to charge their cars. So, it made for a cheaper experience. I checked fast chargers along the route, and they were all way more expensive than Tesla, and I thought, okay, makes more sense to do the Tesla route. Well, that was my first issue, because none of the navigation apps built into the truck or through Apple CarPlay or anything like that would automatically route me to Tesla. I had to manually figure out and find which Tesla station I wanted to go to. Not a big deal because it wasn't a very long trip, but a trip to Missouri would not be a short trip. And I would be having to find and plan multiple charging stops, and I don't like that. So, my first attempt, I planned a stop 3 hours away. It was, the truck, Apple CarPlay, Apple Maps, said that it would arrive at about 10 to 15%. It was fluctuating. We ended up arriving with like 28%. So, had way more than we needed. But, that's not a bad thing. When we plugged the truck in, it did go straight to 160 kilowatt, which is good. I actually seen 171, which I think is faster than the truck is even rated to do, which that's pretty good numbers. But it didn't hold that very long. It held maybe 10 minutes, and then it dropped straight off to 100 kilowatt. And it held 100 until it got to 80%, at which point it dropped to 60 kilowatt. Now, I do remember from Out of Spec videos that it's supposed to hold, 150 up to 80%, which would make it a not so bad charger at that point. But that was not the experience I had. And I did test that multiple times in the week that we took the truck on the trip. So charging speed's not quite what I expected it to be. Navigation's not quite what I expected it to be. And now the truck's not really a good traveling truck. You know, with a Tesla, you punch in where you want to go. It tells you where you need to stop on the way. And it's literally not an issue. It's a very easy trip. Not so much with the Lightning. And that goes back to Ford software. That goes back to my complaints before. But, you know, you get what you get, I guess. So, the idea has really been on me lately that I don't really need this truck. I like it as a daily driver, and it does me well. I've used it as a truck many times with no issues hauling and towing and everything else in between. But I can't help but feel like there's better out there. I don't know that the Cybertruck would be better, but in some ways I think it would, and in some ways I think it wouldn't. And traveling, going long distances, would definitely be one of those that it would. And I think it would be pretty cool if I could get and drive a Cybertruck to Missouri for my trip in October. I don't think I could get one that early. And then there's the whole problem of how do I afford it, but that's a different story. So, I don't know. I'm just kind of in between right now. I'm seriously considering getting rid of the Lightning. Based on what I owe on it and what it's worth, I'm expecting to probably have $20,000 to $25,000 in positive equity on the truck. That's not nearly enough to put down on anything. If I were going to get a Cybertruck, I could also sell my dually and have enough to just almost pay cash for it. But getting rid of the dually gets rid of my, whole hopes and dreams of getting a fifth wheel again, and I don't really want to do that. And the only way that I would get rid of the dually is if I was also buying a truck like the Cybertruck. So that may or may not end up working out. I may or may not end up liking the Cybertruck, and then we're right back to, got to do something else. So, I think there's a fire. Anyway, option number 2 is, is the train just crossed the railroad tracks. Okay, cool. Is the Lightning that useful? I don't know. I mean, obviously it's nice to have, and it's, it's a truck and whatever. But at the end of the day, is it worth it? That's the $1 million question. Is it worth it? I'm suspecting that it uses about twice the amount of power, if not more, than the car I'm currently driving, which is my Model 3. And if that's the case, I'm half tempted to go trade the truck to Tesla and just go get me another Model Y, because that's what I wanted anyway. The payment would actually be cheaper because right now I owe $25 on my truck, but when I financed it, it was like $28. So the payment is based off that initial amount, not what it is today. And if I go and buy a new Model Y, based on the trade-in values that I would get, my payment would be based on like $23,000, which would make the monthly payment cheaper. Not that it really matters, but and I don't know what I'm going to do with this 3. Maybe continue Toroing, or maybe just get rid of it. I don't really know, but I don't really see me keeping it just because it's not really perfect for me. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do, but that's been a thought. I'm driving the Model 3 this week just to kind of see what is my electricity cost savings. I understand there's a big difference between a big truck and a little car, but how much is that difference? I want to compare just my normal weekly usage does my power consumption change that much between, say 2 weeks ago and this week? It definitely will. I just don't know by how much. I'm going to go right because there is no way I'm getting out of here if I go left. It definitely will. I just don't know by how much. And it obviously it's probably not going to be enough to really matter. But there's always that grass is greener on the other side feeling. And honestly, if you think about it, Tesla's got a pretty nice little deal going on here. Like their cars are pretty nice. They're pretty reliable. Sometimes you get some rattles and noises and shakes that you just don't normally, get with other cars. But Ford's that way too. I mean, my truck has a lot of little rattles and things, but I think less of it in the truck because it's a Ford. That's kind of normal with Ford. Tesla markets themselves as a luxury brand, so when I hear a rattle or a shake or a noise, I don't like it. But honestly, it's really no different than what I already have with the Ford. Ultimately, I think I would really enjoy a Cybertruck, but I don't know for sure. And I don't know. I mean, it's all up in the air on that one. So I may look around and just see what kind of deals I can get on my truck. If I can get a better price selling it somewhere else other than trading it to Tesla. Because ultimately, Tesla offered the most on this car to trade in. And, if I'm trying to offload it and get out from under the payment, I mean, I would have actually profited $1,000 by taking Tesla's offer because they were $1,000 over the payoff. So, and I mean, really, the difference between what I paid for this car and what they're offering trading in is $1,500. I paid $1,500 to drive this car 11,000 miles. It's crazy. Like, that's a really good deal. So yeah, I might do some searching. I'm afraid that I'm going to find that no one's going to want to pay what I'm wanting for my Lightning. When I bought it, it was $72,000, which at the time was $23,000 off a sticker, which I thought was a really good deal. And then within a few weeks, maybe a few months, I checked the value and it was $50,000, $55,000, somewhere in that range. It's got a lot more miles on it now than it had then, a lot more usage. So I don't know that they're going to offer 50 anymore. And so, now is it going to get 25 positive equity or not? Who knows? So, anyway, that's just where my thought is right now. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I do know for the next week I'm going to drive this car and just see where it goes. I want to see just how much can I save on a weekly basis driving this versus the Lightning as far as power consumption goes. And I'm not sure about Turo. Like, the whole idea was to keep this car and rent it on Turo. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I haven't decided. Turo's kind of slowed back down again, and I don't want to drop the price anymore. I don't feel like I'm doing myself any favors by doing that. The low-priced rentals were attracting low-class people, we'll say. Car came back smoked in and has damage on it, and the damage is not big enough to the point where they'll say, oh well, we'll cover it, because it is damage, it's damage, but it's not big enough to where they say, oh, it's big enough for we'll actually care. So I don't know, I kind of want to quit Turo, but at the same time, keeping this car without having a source of income to make the payment on it makes no sense. So, and we've already talked about getting rid of it, and I didn't have a whole lot of luck getting people to make good offers, except for Tesla, which, again, I have to trade for something else at Tesla. So, I guess ideally, I would sell the Lightning, have $25,000 positive equity, trade in this car at Tesla, get $1,000 positive equity back on this, put the $25,000 down. Tesla just brought back the referral program, which knocks another $1,000 off, and I've got some cash that I could put with it to put maybe $3,000 down as well on top of all that. I mean, in a perfect world, we could be talking about $18,000, $19,000 financed, and that makes the payment really low, to the point where now I'm getting rid of two payments that are over $1,000 a month combined and going into the $300 a month range. That would be ideal. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it. It sounds like a good idea. It feels my need to want to get a new car, but is it the right choice? You know, I've had Tesla Model Ys in the past. My first one I got rid of because I wasn't happy with how autopilot acted. I learned at a later date that it was clearly a camera issue in that car. My next car did not have that issue. My second Model Y, I still own because I liked it so good, and I still have it, but my mom drives it, and I'm kind of over the 2021. It has a really rough suspension. I mean, this car rides better than it, and this car was half the price. So I'm really over the 21. I want to get into something newer that has a better suspension on it. My third Model Y, I regretted getting rid of. And I had my reasons, mainly because I took it on a 9,000 mile road trip. And in that road trip, it developed so many rattles and shakes, and it was just bad. And I probably could have taken it to Tesla and complained. And, you know, Tesla started this new thing right around that time where if you don't report rattles and shakes within the first 10 days of getting the car, it's not covered. And any kind of noise, you have to pay to get it fixed. And I didn't want to have to do that. I didn't want to have anything to do with that. So I was just like, you know what? Here, you can have it. I'll find something else. And my something else at the time was the Chrysler 300C, which I ended up selling shortly after. So that didn't work out very well either. But, you know, I regretted selling the Model Y. I could have just, you know, solved the issues that I was having with the rattles and noises. If not taking it to Tesla, but maybe just trying to do it myself. I mean, Devin's a pretty genius at stuff like this. I mean, if all else fails, I could have drove it to Maine and he could have looked at it. But, you know, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I regretted getting rid of it, but honestly, going around a second time, I would want the new red color. It's darker than the red I have now, and I think it would be nicer. Still has the same battery pack, still has the same white interior. You know, my friend Dave's been telling me, wait for the refresh, and I'm not convinced I want the refresh. I liked a Model X because it's a Model X, but I didn't like the steering wheel and the signals on the steering wheel and, you know, the lack of stalks and all that. So, you know, I'm not convinced that the new Model Y is going to be all that great. Yeah, it'll have new things that make it nice, but at the end of the day, am I going to like the trade-off of no stalks to get those nice things? And I don't think I will. I think I'm better off getting a current Model Y. And I mean, if later on I decide that, you know, the new one's actually, you know, where it's at, I could always trade up again. It's not a big deal. Yeah, there'll be some loss of money on that, but I'll have gotten to use it for a year and, you know, whatever. Also, when a new car comes out, you don't jump straight for the first edition. You wait for it to be out a year or maybe a little longer, so they can iron out all the bugs and, you know, any kind of issues that it may have, they can fix. Just like my 21 Model Y has that rough suspension. And 23s don't have that issue. So they've made changes, they made it better. When I got my first Model Y Performance, it came with summer tires. And I hated that. I'm like, well, what would I need summer tires for? It basically makes it useless in the winter. And so as soon as I could, I went and put all seasons on it. Now they all ship with all seasons, even the Performance model. So they make advancements to make it better. And so even if, I like the Juniper, which I don't think I will, but even if I do, it's best to wait a year and, let the stuff get ironed out and then upgrade. In the meantime, I could be driving a Model Y. And I think I would enjoy the Model Y. I don't really need a truck. I don't do work that requires a truck. But, like I said, I'm going to keep the dually. So if I do need a truck, there it is. I may not even get the towing package on the Tesla because that'll save me $1,000. And what am I going to tow with the Tesla? I've got the dually. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. That's where I'm at. They're all over the place as usual. We'll look into this more. We'll see if it really makes any sense to try to trade or sell or whatever. At the end of the day, I have to realize I'm losing 2 cars here to go into one. I don't necessarily have to get rid of this one if Toro picks back up. But at the end of the day, I would be getting rid of 2 cars at the current plan. And I don't know if I'd like that. Can a Model Y replace both cars? I mean, I'm sure it could, but would I like that? We'll talk about it some more later. There's a lot of factors here to consider and think about. Right now, I think I'm just going to pump the brakes. I'm not going to go ahead and order anything. I'm going to wait and see if Tesla comes up with something better. 1.99%, which I probably won't even qualify for. And they're offering $1,000 off. So, whatever. If I say I put 34, because I'd actually be putting 33, but I get the 1,000 off, that would put me around $313 a month. Definitely would save some money based on, a lower payment and lower insurance. But at the same time, I feel like the offer could be better. For a while there, they did 3 years free supercharging. Where'd that go? I'll take that. And even in some cases, they were offering 3 months. Right now, they're not offering anything. They were offering like another $1,000 off at one point. I don't remember why. I think if you transferred your FSD, which I don't even know if they're allowing FSD transfers now, I would consider transferring it off of my current Model Y because my mom doesn't use that at all. So yeah, I'm just going to wait and see what the offer becomes, if it gets any better. In the meantime, I may just go ahead and sell my 3 because it has a huge payment and Toro's slowed down again and I just don't need it. I can just sit back and enjoy the Lightning for a little while and see what happens. Which direction do I want to go in the future?